Hi, I'm Taylor, and I did my speech about social media with college students. You know the apps that all our parents hate to see us on, the ones that they never know how to work? Social media, to use the exact names of them. With that, we will be evaluating social media with college students. Social media has been seen to affect college students with impacts like distractions, loneliness, mental health, and friendship/connections. Social media can be looked at two very different ways. It always seems as if there is the viewpoint of the absolute worst of it and the absolute best, but not often do you really hear the in between. Today we will be addressing the pros and cons of social media. To start off, we will look at the cons of social media on college students. The first con being that the loneliness that comes from social media. With so much of life now being on social media, you tend to feel forced into being on it, which can allow for loneliness to really settle in. Students from University of Pennsylvania randomly selected 143 undergraduate students to complete a survey, and from that survey it was evaluated that, start quote, higher usage of Facebook has been found to be associated with lower self-esteem cross-sectionally as well as greater loneliness, end quote. With that, it can be hard for students to always be looking at what other people are doing, making them feel like they may be left out. As well as with the self-esteem part, it's not always easy to be looking at others all the time and not start to compare yourselves. The second con is the cause of distraction. We've all been there scrolling through different social media platforms when in reality we are supposed to be doing schoolwork. It happens to us all, but it can be a huge leading factor of why we get distracted so easily. When in college, we already have so much going on in life, and then to add social media to it, it can be very overwhelming. Students at BYU focused on the benefits and distractions of social media, and in that finding that the survey was with 447 undergraduate students, and within that, start quote, revealed that these students access their social media accounts on an average of 32 times a day, yet a majority of them did not consider social media important to their formal education, and many found it to be distracting, end quote. 32 might not seem like a crazy number, but thinking of all the times that you pick your phone up just for a second, but then it ends up leading to 20 minutes or an hour that you stay on it instead. Imagine doing that 32 times a day. The amount of time wasted there is a lot more than we may actually realize. We are now going to look at the mental health effects. We all know how bad social media can really be on our mental health sometimes, but we may not always want to admit that as we choose to still put it in our lives every day. But there has been several, start quote, noted cases of increased anxiety and empathy in adolescents, end quote. Anxiety is something that is already huge in college students, so the last thing we need is more things causing anxiety like social media. Mental health is something that is so important and can change so much, especially your perspective just on college itself. Meaning adding something like social media into your day-to-day routine may be doing more hurt than help than that we really realize. We will now start to look at the positive side of social media and how it can actually be beneficial. Social media can help people with their mental health if used in the proper ways, like finding support groups, searching for peers who may be going through the same things, etc. If you know how to use social media for the right reasons, it can be super helpful. Students from Purdue put on a survey with 622 undergraduate participants, with 438 of those being women. From that survey, it was seen that, start quote, those with high depression / anxiety were more likely to identify social media as a social support medium and indicate preferences for similar peer communities, end quote. With that, these students were able to identify that they were struggling and find support through social media. Using these platforms in that way can be such a useful tool. Being able to bring that to people on social media clearly has helped many people going through things that they may not feel comfortable sharing with people at their college or face-to-face, and especially when you don't know who you can trust and not trust. Another pro to social media is the friendships and connections you can make through these sources. Just from personal experiences, I had people who were reaching out to me via Instagram and Snapchat before getting to Montana. Now me and these people are getting to connect in person, but still continue through social media as we don't always get to see each other on campus. I think this goes along with the survey that was done by students at West Virginia University that included 232 college students, which range from 18 to 26-year-olds. In this survey, start quote, findings suggest that Facebook can benefit college students' acquaintancy, friend networks, and those relationships with off-campus friends. Implications are discussed, end quote. I think this is a good way of showing that in order to sometimes maintain friendships, you may have to use social media since you don't always get the opportunity to see friends on campus, as college can be very busy and overwhelming. Having the ability to still connect with that person, whether that be actually messaging or just interacting on one of their posts, it still shows that you're engaged with them and want to continue that friendship along. Although there is a lot of different surveys and studies done on social media and the effects on college students, it is hard to really know if it is a positive or negative. I feel that I touched on the main topics of loneliness, distractions, mental health, and friendships, which seem to be the main topics that are discussed in social media. I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to moderation and how exactly are you using social media. As a college student, we are at the age where we now have to make these type of decisions on our own. We no longer have our parents constantly in our ears telling us to get off of it, meaning we need to analyze these different effects and make our own best judgment for whether we want to continue using social media or decide that it is no longer useful. The choice is truly ours. Thank you so much.